All right, welcome everyone with Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
BoJack Horseman, Season 3, Episode 12.
BoJack kills.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
When we started this show, right, okay, it has a lot of seasons. It deals with some pretty serious stuff right out the gate. So clearly it's going places and it's going to be a bit wild. But, last episode happened. Like, that was a thing that happened. The writing was on the walls. It was made very clear that that was going to happen. And then they did it. It's like a crashing train that you can't look away from.
Yeah, what else do you expect us to say, y'all? This is the story we signed up for. And I am not at all surprised that we're here. It's more just, they told it this way.
Yeah.
And at this time.
It's beautiful, and I wouldn't change a thing about it.
Cinema.
Yep. And
so now
we have so much left of the show.
Yeah, let's get to the next half of BoJack. So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
Okay, one more song. I'm gonna slow things down.
Ow!
Really?
Ow! Ow!
Oh.
God.
I can't believe you came to my concert.
It was incredible. When you sang that one ballad and shot fireworks out of your boobs, that was such a moving tribute to gays in the military.
We are going out.
Before you go, I need you to sign these posters. It's for charity. Doctors Without Posters. I'll come back in 20 for those posters.
Oh
Got all the
my
references
God,
and things on the
famous is
background.
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're telling me.
No, but like really famous. How can I explain it to someone like you? I feel like all my friends only like me because I'm Sarah Lynn, you know? So great to see a real friend who knew me before I got huge and isn't just trying to get something out of me.
Right.
I swear, you are like the only one I have left.
Well, actually, I'm doing this new show, the BoJack Horseman show. I don't know if you've seen it or...
I'm so busy with the tour.
Yeah, no, of course. The ratings aren't great, but we have this upcoming episode, and we're looking for a really big guest star.
Oh, you want me to be on your show?
Well, I just thought it would be really fun
Yeah.
for the both of us.
Adam Levine has tweeted his sympathies. Today we lost an icon.
Fuck.
Hashtag she will be loved. Hashtag watch The Voice Season 10.
Oh my
Again, for
God.
those just joining us, actress and pop star Sarah Lynn is dead at 31.
As someone that just made it to 32, that hits that hits real hard.
That was the perfect way to start the episode and the perfect cut to the present. Oh
my
This
God.
is a start.
375 at sea. There's a darkness brewing on the horizon. I feel it.
Oh,
All clear from here to Los Angeles.
Oh
We've
my
hit
gosh.
a few delays, but you'll get your precious
Wow.
cargo by tomorrow.
Cargo Cartondale for Margot Martindale. Yeah.
How can I offer the real
Oh my God,
Italian
and
cuisine?
yeah,
Well,
gotta
real
get
Italian spaghetti.
fired by the-
Spaghetti,
ah.
how Italian people say spaghetti.
We'll get
Trying to lean the leaning tower. God, all the jokes per second.
I see how it is. Want to play a game of chicken?
I don't think this is a good idea, Margot.
Damn it, Skip.
We have to do something.
You know damn well when we took to the sky, we made a solemn oath never to meddle in the affairs of land nor sea. We are sworn but to observe. This is the
I love this guy.
Oh no!
Ah!
The pasta is cooking!
If only we had some olive oil to reduce the stickiness.
But olive oil doesn't actually reduce the stickiness in pasta. That's only a myth.
No! I've wasted so much of my life stirring olive oil into pasta.
Is this like the Breaking Bad plane crash? Like,
Off the coast of San Clemente, 12 tons of pasta have leaked into the ocean, and the massive carbo load is heading straight to
No!
Ocean City.
No!
oh shit!
The only hope for rescue would be if someone had an enormous quantity of spaghetti strainers just sitting around the house. But that person would also need access to a fleet of drivers to transport said spaghetti strainers. And in order to strain the spaghetti fast enough,
what?
They also need to be incredibly strong swimmers. Like,
all
for
this
example, hot, sexy killer whale.
to set up.
You're shitting me.
Oh my god.
Movie during the day? Dare I? One for Secretariat, please.
How dare you, show, do something so funny after the last episode?
When it's me in the next 2 hours, they'll just have to wait.
Yeah. And then they won't use it.
Todd will save the day.
No, they slept through it.
Or it's pasta la vista for Pacific Ocean
Pasta la vista.
Come on, pick up Mr. Peanut Butter. Gabracadablers to Mr. Peanut Butter's house.
All right.
Peanut Butter's house, the show, or Mr. Peanut Butter's house, the house?
The house. Obviously, the house.
Oh my god. Todd to save the day.
Yeah, let's go.
98 messages. Better listen to them all in order.
Mr. Peanut Butter, call me back as soon as you get this, okay? We need your strainers. This is life and death.
Oh my god.
Peanut Butter,
No.
I'm at your house with the entire Cabracadabra fleet, but we can't get in. You need to get over here. It's a spaghetti strainer-related emergency.
All right, buddy. Just as soon as I listen to these other 96 messages.
Yep.
Good afternoon. I'm calling from Center Theater Group. You saw a play once 8 years ago.
Oh, I don't have time for this. Ugh.
Okay, now you do it. Okay.
Wait, in the distance, is that?
No,
it can't be.
Oh my god! Yes! What is this?
Here I come.
Oh my god.
Sabrina, I'm
No.
for my birthday surprise.
Why didn't you just tell me you made too much spaghetti?
Well, I thought if you knew I made a big mess that you wouldn't love me anymore.
Sabrina, that's not going to happen. We're a family now, no matter what, and I will always be there for you.
Okay.
I'm poison.
BoJack.
I come from poison. I have poison inside me, and I destroy everything I touch. That's my legacy. I have nothing to show for the life that I've lived, and I have nobody in my life who's better off for having known me.
That isn't true.
Isn't it, though?
When I was a kid, I used to watch you on TV. And you know I didn't have the best family. Things weren't that great for me. But for half an hour every week, I got to watch this show about 4 people who had nobody, who came together and became a family. And for half an hour every week, I had a home. And it helped me survive.
I wish you didn't get so distant after you moved out.
I'm sorry.
You know me better than anybody, and you can't not be a part of my life.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, really mature.
I want to do Ethan around.
Oh, very funny. Is this Jeff from Hammers and More?
No, it's me, BoJack Horseman.
Wait,
Oh.
Yeah, I think now more than ever, people need shows like Horsing Around. I need a show like Horsing Around.
You won't regret this, BoJack. Attention customers, please leave and never come back. Tools is closed forever. I'm going Hollywood.
Oh!
Okay.
Please, I'm no hero.
Wait.
I'm just a guy with some bowls full of holes.
So the boat's saved.
Yeah.
Because I'm selling the company.
Oh.
You know,
Oh.
it's really too bad you shut down the agency. Because if you could have held out for just a couple more months, right now,
Wow.
you would be rolling in money.
Wow.
I'm really happy for you.
Yeah.
I'm actually enjoying my time off. No, I'll just set a meeting. It's easy. I'm not doing anything else.
Except for enjoying your time off.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, another amazing offer. It's like everywhere I look, money, money, money. Even 10% of this would be quite a windfall.
Oh. All this time I thought I was an agent, but what if what I was really supposed to be was a manager?
What's the difference?
It's a completely different line of work. An agent helps a client find jobs, but
That-
a manager helps manage a client's career.
No, that's actually a good point.
Uh-huh.
No, because you were getting paid as an agent,
Yeah.
but you were a manager.
Right.
It kind of sounds like you're just going back to the same sort of job that made you miserable for the last 20 years.
No, Ralph, don't you get it? This is a new beginning. I'm gonna be a manager.
I like the epiphany
Yeah.
because she is right, but also
You'd maybe get more respected, but you'd still be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Is anything off limits? Like, if you had to write a piece about your husband, could you do it?
Why would I have to do that?
I don't know, because this company is basically Hooters on Wheels?
He's actually selling that company.
Well, he's still a public figure. What if Mr. Peanut Butter does something problematic and you have a real hot take?
If I have a problem with my husband, I'm going to talk to him about it directly.
What if you did that and he didn't listen? And you knew that as much as you love him and as much as he loves you, he's never gonna get it. And meanwhile, you also knew that all your readers looked up to you and wanted to read your opinion. Would you write about it then?
You got the job?
I got the job!
Oh my god!
Oh boy!
Goody! Whoa, this is for $8 million.
Well, you are a 1/3 owner. What did you expect?
Yeah.
Todd, as a millionaire? That'll lead to some interesting stories. What an exciting development. Is that going to change the dynamic? I guess we're going to find out.
Wow! Oh my god!
Wow!
Todd's in the 1%. Oh,
Oh.
hey.
Hi.
Well.
Julia, you want to know a secret about your mommy and daddy?
What?
They are really proud of you.
Oh, I know that.
No.
What do you want to be when you grow up, Chloe?
I want to be like you.
Like me?
I want to be famous. BoJack.
Is everything okay?
I can't be here.
We need to shoot the rest of this episode.
I'm sorry, I don't belong here.
Where are you going?
I don't know.
Yeah, where are you going, like, purpose-wise? God. No! Oh! We were this close.
Yeah.
This close.
Hey, but if we're this close, that means all it takes is pushing through this, right?
And this is also for the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
How would you like to be the governor?
Whoa. Of California?
Yes, of California.
Welcome back. Your first meeting's at 10, and you have a lunch at 11:30.
Thank you, Judah.
Also, I have someone online too
Management,
trying to get
yes.
in touch with BoJack Horseman. I have no idea how she got this number. It sounds like it's a teenage girl. I'm sorry, we can't help you.
Some people play a fine guitar.
Fuck! Oh my god! No! And then it's a Tesla, so auto drive, self-drive kicks in.
Oh, it's the blimp. Yep. It's the blimp. No, what?
And they're chasing the blimp. Holy shit. Oh my god. Is this the time where the show's like, all right, now that we've done that, it's the halfway point. So this is where we start going back up.
I mean,
clawing our way there.
I don't think there's such
man.
a thing. I think it's just
holy
it's just,
shit.
It's just hurt. It's just
yeah.
hurt. It's
I mean, the hurt will continue.
No, I know, but it's hurt art, so it's heart.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Wow, that's a BoJack Horseman finale.
Yeah, like every time it's episode 11. Gut punch, awful.
Stab.
You know, twist, you know.
Yeah.
And then episode 12.
Catharsis of the most hilarious, ridiculous kind that leads then to wholesome pain.
Right.
Like immediately, like
yeah,
wholesome pain, and then we're back to the start. And in a lot of ways, that's what's keeping BoJack going. Is that he finds that little bit of humanity amidst this, and while it does feel like everything that he touches then it falls apart, burns, dies, gets poisoned, or something like that, he still sees the silver lining or the way in which he's connected to all of this with. Still feeling like the light inside him is dying. He is spinning out of control. And,
take care. Be careful now. Don't want to see you go hollow, right? He's still struggling. If he could have had an out here, and that, he had his out here. He was in the process of taking it, and in a lot of ways that would be less painful, right? Because then it's just all right.
Damn.
Hey, all you have to
Yeah,
deal
let's
with
go there.
is getting smeared on the road, you know, and then it's done. But this way, no, we've got 3 seasons of you're gonna need to
carry that
all
weight.
of this back. You're gonna carry that weight,
Mm-hmm.
and holy shit, will you be able to do it? Who knows? But maybe. And having this come after the okay, I'm going to try again. Yes, we're doing Ethan around, and you know the whole situation with the little girl and him being like, hey, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And well, before that, but you know, you want to know a secret? Your parents are really proud of you, right? You know, like that kind of stuff where it's like, okay, he is actively really trying and doing his best.
Hey, he's taking life by the reins. He's actually engaging in a way, and he's doing it in a sought after redemptive fashion because he knows the ways in which he can fuck things up if he's not taking things responsibly.
Right.
So the idea that he almost does the like, what would this be the equivalent of? Kind of the Ebenezer Scrooge approach of being like, I'm going to specifically go to the people that I've hurt or I've slighted or I've wronged, and I'm going to try to make things better, you know? I'm going to use my fame and influence to extend things out to them by going back to Ethan, for instance, and trying to get his show greenlit.
Right, and not just and I love the distinction that's made in that he goes back to and he's like, hey, let's get the show greenlit. Cool. That could very easily, though, just be him being like, I'm going to go and disappear back into the old days of when I was just, you know, on the...
Absolutely.
Right? And yet, no, he's like, well, no, this is the Ethan Around show. Come on. And then he actually starts coaching him to be like, no, like...
Set yourself up to be a star here.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
exactly. You know, I think you've got this. I think you could do it. Let's work on it. And then they actually, you know, get something good.
Right. Let's not just use me here. Let's actually do the Hollywood thing and give you a good shot here at stardom again.
And also, as far as times in the show that we've seen BoJack look at a script and go, that's not right. What he says afterwards is usually not very kind, right? It's how could you be such a dumbass that you think this? No, it's this isn't making you look good enough.
Right.
What's the point?
That was probably one of the kindest ways we've seen BoJack interact with the entertainment industry.
Yeah, he was genuinely like frustrated on his behalf. He's like, because you know, it's yes, this show wouldn't be happening without him.
Right.
But the point of this show is not for me to go and run the same treadmill again, right? You know,
we're gonna be almost joking around probably with that every once in a while because it's a spin-off in concept,
continuation,
but without anything necessarily following into the whole you know, same pattern, or at least in the same world. I don't know. Well, we'll see. That show might not even exist next season, so we'll see. But
I hope it does.
I hope it does. A lot of things in this episode kind of set up the future plot lines, and then some of them were subverted in a very funny way.
Yeah, Todd giving away the $8 million.
Right, Todd giving away the $8 million. I loved the joke of all these businesses then leading to actual cool consequences for not just the punchline of the joke of the post-apocalypse coming down
God, that was
upon
great.
The watery kingdom, watery metropolis.
Yeah.
I love that called back to just the water episode in general,
and,
but
and
then
just
also
all the harebrained ideas that they've done over the course of the story. And it's like, wait, you're turning that into foreshadowing?
You're turning that into a setup for a punchline for a joke, and then thus we do actually get real positive consequences for Emily and Mr. Peanut Butter because they both make big money out of all this business being sold here. For one, genius thing to get rid of the company, definitely. But then also, oh, okay, Mr. Peanut Butter might end up running for office. That's hilarious in of itself.
I cannot wait for the jokes that can come from someone like Mr. Peanut Butter being in politics.
Right.
Like,
oh my God.
Yes, at least we've got a sensible person leading this state, you know?
Yes,
that's right.
Absolutely. Then from the other standpoint, just while Todd has the money, gets rid of it, and you can go on the, wait, is Todd actually
the one
attained
who's like,
Nirvana because
exactly.
he gave away the money?
Right, I don't need anything.
Even if it was accidental. Or is it now that because he's going to be in this not relationship with Emily, because he's not attracted to her in the conventional sense, because he might be pansexual, or who knows, what have you. We'll see. But then she'll be able to, you know, in some ways be there for him with the benefit money that she got from being in this whole business.
And then we could get a situation where Todd can still have his antics that he goes on while he lives in a different rich person's house.
Yep.
But, oh, hey, it can actually be like a real positive experience.
Yes,
With BoJack, it was a negative experience. With Mr. Peanut Butter,
for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. With Mr. Peanut Butter, it was a neutral experience from the standpoint of character stuff, but, you know, hijinks ensued.
So things are looking up for Todd.
But, yeah, like, that could actually be a really good, happy ending for him. And
for sure.
Awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah, love it.
Yep.
Love to see it. And now, with BoJack. Oh, wait, but before we go to BoJack, PC here.
Yes, Princess Caroline.
Ends up realizing that she was a manager all along. One is peak dramatic like irony for the setting of the episode's like plot that, well, while she's trying to be pulled away from work by Stilton here, she ends up realizing her own kind of nirvana, her own kind of enlightenment is reached in that moment.
And yet it could also, Stilton is totally right. It could absolutely be the, you know,
it's exactly the same kind of word.
The bad ex, you know, like pulls you back in, right?
Oh, and that's what the whole episode kind of was.
Essentially, you know, and even Diane had that sort of thing where it's the,
Diane had that.
We'll give you an opportunity to do a thing, but it's, you're fine with basically pursuing this thing at the expense of the people around you,
right?
Because you believe that it's something that's right to do, but like if you're championing the cause at the cost of the individual, is that actually, can you truly see that as being the same kind of noble thing?
Right. And that's the thing. It's a hypothetical, so of course she's like, well, that won't necessarily happen.
But
so therefore,
us as the viewers, we know that's absolutely going to happen, especially with Peanut Butter being governor potentially.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so good. I
Yep.
can just see so many things from there. But then, also,
BoJack has a daughter.
BoJack very much probably has a daughter.
Yeah, like you know, BoJack has a daughter in the same way that it was confirmed in the previous episode, not this one, that Sarah Lynn died. You know, right? Like that's clear as day what's being set up there, and holy shit, I love that so much because it's the okay.
Well,
it's
because of like a lot of things, but
you're right. But as far as what it means for the show and BoJack as a character, we got him in this episode trying to not just start over, but specific because BoJack has tried to start over before, but that's also been as a way to try and avoid the stuff that he hasn't wanted to look at, and so it's pretending that it'll all just go away.
Right.
Whereas in this, we actually saw him looking it in the face, you know, addressing it and trying to specifically combat it and counteract it, right? Awesome, way to go. You're still going to have the points where someone says something random and you're like, fuck, oh no, you know, and then you go running, but hey, this is the start of a new journey. And so then to have someone who is the in the midst of all of the bad shit, there were still the BoJack or the Horse and Around episodes.
Right.
In the midst of all the bad shit, oh hey, a new life was brought into the mix, and maybe you can be there for them. You know, right? Like that because that's the ultimate question or goal or way to turn this around is not that it will justify any of the things that happened in the past, but that in the midst of all of that, isn't life beautiful in that even from someone like you, BoJack, some good can come.
What's good about this? There's nothing good about this.
Oh, no?
No.
So, okay. Not necessarily that he had a kid who didn't have a dad for a long time, but that as a result of all of the things happening and him potentially growing here, that person who up until now did not have a father, right, might actually be able to get some closure and, you know, and like have something and have it be a potentially a good interaction, right? Now, with how the show has been, that is very much betting against the past, right?
Right.
But with the way that this episode went tonally, which granted that's how most finales in the show have gone, right? Because that's the way it works, right? Success is not a straight line. There will be all kinds of repeated mistakes and things like that.
Yeah.
that was probably one of the biggest things that made me so optimistic for BoJack with his journey, because it's not always over, right? You cannot bring Sarah Lynn back. She is dead, and she is dead in a lot of ways because of you, right? But that doesn't mean that you are purely poison. There is nothing good that you can bring into this world.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that her life has no value. I'm talking about you know where this is gonna go. Like this is a person that is going to be hurt further by the time she eventually gets closer to BoJack.
So yes.
Right.
The thing is, I think this show, I believe that this show is setting it up to where, yes, there will be hurt that comes as a result of this, but
a lot more.
Hurt comes as a result of all relationships. BoJack's hurt has been a very special kind of hurt that he dishes out on the people around him.
Sure.
And I think that is going to change, right? There will still be the aspects where, yes, there's going to be conflict and all of those things. It's not just going to be an easy 3 seasons to the end, because otherwise the show would end here, or after the next season maybe, right?
Yeah.
But this is a milestone. This is not something I think that is going to be like he will never truly go lower than he was here.
Oh, I 100% doubt that.
Yeah.
No, I do not smoke the same stuff you do in this moment here.
Okay.
I see it very differently. I see this as being a very cool moment of it was another missed call this episode.
Sure.
That's basically what this was for now. At some point later, the call will eventually reach. BoJack will have the realization of, oh fuck, wait, who was it then?
Right. They're setting up the list of things to expect in the next season.
Right. It's basically that. But in terms of who he is, in terms of what's been done here, while you could look at it from the glass half full perspective of one good thing essentially could set him up, one good shift in perspective could set him up forever. It's literally in the episode where we end it with, and one shift in perspective the other way sends him careening into a spiral where he nearly killed himself.
Yep.
I don't think, personally, that someone new coming into his life is going to be some grand shift in the way that he views things, other than it's just another thing that can be hey, this will keep you anchored for a time until it's spent, until it's been utilized to the fullest extent in which...
Right, the pattern that we've seen up until now.
Yeah, the pattern that we've seen up until now, and then they'll be out of the picture in that regard. It's a card that the show could have played at any point, and now that they've played it here, I'm like, cool. This is in some ways...
like it was bound to happen, kind of a deal.
It was 100% bound to happen. I'm just more surprised that it wasn't going to be like a more specific thing of like, what person, like they haven't played the who did BoJack specifically have this kid with.
Oh yeah, and we might get the final answer to the question since she's a horse, but that doesn't mean that BoJack knocked up another horse.
No,
that means that we're in the situation where you could have had
anybody,
a rabbit that gave birth to a horse.
I mean, it's yes. The jokes abound. My point is that it's still got another card to play, but this is in some ways one of the series is ending soon kind of cards,
right?
Which means I don't think it's going to be an immediate plot line of season 4.
Well, and
it's just a thing that will come.
And that's the other reason why I think that it's actually so optimistic with the way that it's set up is because it's just, we know that she exists. No one else in the show knows that she exists.
No one else.
That means there's going to be time before she actually gets introduced. And
yes,
I would assume there will be a fair amount of time after she gets introduced that she will then spend in the show where we'll get to see all of the pain and the growth and all of that stuff.
My guess is that it'll be like the last third of season 4 is going to be the point where she gets introduced.
Okay.
And I think it'll be the lion's share of the rest of the series where she'll be a part of it. But
Me too.
I think that she'll be out of the story in a painful way like before season 6 is even like halfway over.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I
think I'm
because,
feeling the patterns of this show very well.
No,
so
right,
far.
but that's why they're there. The patterns are set up so that then they can be subverted later, right? It's the BoJack in any normal situation. This would be the thing of exactly what you're saying, right? Where that's how it would go, and yet.
But we've literally done the same pattern 3 seasons in a row now, and it's building up the stakes.
And that's the ultimate test for BoJack, right? Because so much of his dysfunction has come from the fact that he's just aware enough of his dysfunction in order to basically now that it's actually been put in his face and he's not just doing the egotistical, oh, what I'm great, everybody loves me. Oh, fuck, I'm so shaming myself because I believe I should be whatever the piece was that his mom compared. Oh, it wasn't Gibson or whatever, right?
Right.
That's the thing that is in a lot of ways keeping him here, because then when those hiccups happen, he then has the freak out because, oh, fuck, I'm a terrible person, I'm poison, all of this stuff. He runs as opposed to being like, okay, but just relax. You're doing good right now. Right? And then you just keep going with it. And then suddenly you have that goes on long enough. You have a new pattern. You have a new rut, I guess.
We've seen no
but,
actual progress in that regard.
But the audacity to keep doing that with the same kind of gumption and drive, much like the horses that are
in a meta way.
Sure.
Like, it's
just like the horses that are running and getting all sweaty and stuff. That's the only way that he'll get out of this, right? Because otherwise, of course, he'll just stick with his usual pattern, right?
What do you call the horses then in that regard? Because I have a very specific metaphor in mind for what they represent.
Persistence.
Okay, cool. So I see the persistence angle just in the literal sense, but how does that? You're saying that for BoJack, it's the.
So and this is where I'll make the comparison to the dude in season 2.
Because I was trying to see in which way in which way he's throwing himself into that herd, basically. Like he's seeing himself there.
Totally, yeah, right. Because it's the UR Secretariat. It's their horses. So of course he's seeing himself in them, right? That's very much being set up by the show. And so it's the what do you then do with that, right? The dude at the end of season 2 that's like, hey, it gets easier, right? It has gotten easier.
And then he addressed it really in the beginning of this episode. It doesn't get easier. And that's right. That's what I was thinking. That it's not that it gets easier.
Well, I would say it does, but the thing is, it is a very natural conclusion to not believe that when you're in the middle of it, right? The things that BoJack did in this episode that were points of progress of him being like, hey, your parents are really proud of you. That never, ever, 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 ever would have happened in an earlier season. In the earlier seasons, the kind of growth that we were talking about is just those slightest little glimmers of maybe something like telling a kid your parents are proud of you, that maybe that'll happen in the future.
Right. I guess the thing that I'm with you is that my issue with saying that this is just a thing of where BoJack has made all this monumental growth is because, well, he has absolutely made the growth of lowering his egotistical response rate.
Yeah.
That's not because he's becoming, I would say, a more healthy person. It's because he's realizing the futility of what he brings to the table in those kinds of ways of doing things. So it's like it's the death of BoJack Horseman in a very meta sense, in a very literal sense. But it's not the rebirth of anything yet. He's still falling.
But that's the whole point, right? Like you need to have the death before you can have the rebirth.
No, I
right?
know, but we've been dying for 3 seasons straight.
And that's why I think the point of this episode is and now this is where the rebirth begins.
No, but that's what they did for the last 3 seasons. Every single time.
Yes. So yes. So it is very natural to then look at that kind of decision and say, that's folly, that's dumb, that's, there's no evidence that it'll be different this time.
I'm just thinking about this from a predictive meta standpoint of why change this formula until the very end, if anything. Like I think we are still in the thick of it. I think it's more just that the metaphor I saw with the horses there was that everyone is like you, BoJack. It's not that you are having some special struggle here.
Don't give yourself too much credit,
Right. It's the thing of where this doesn't get easier. The reason why the guy said that basically is that you end up maybe thinking it gets easier because your perspective shifts about the thing.
Yeah, sure.
Whether it doesn't actually get easier.
No, the guy is still running up the same hill. The hill didn't change, right? It's you have changed, right? And as a result of that, you are able to actually meet the challenge far better than you would have otherwise, right?
Right. But the thing I'm trying to fight back against is that this is just some same hill. Life is never the same hill.
Of course not.
It's going to give you constantly a new hill where you're bleeding and scraping and crying your way up the hill. But if you think that this is going to be something that you can do alone, I think that maybe is the only silver lining of the herd, basically, is that, or the whatever their little CrossFit group is, because these are wild horses.
It's the kind of scene where I would expect it to be a bunch of wild horses, but they're not, because this is the world of BoJack.
So it's kind of funny.
So
but then
are
it's
they
also
a
very
team? Like,
right.
But
it's a funny scene, but then it's also cut in such a way that it's actually a very serious scene.
Yeah.
So I love it perfectly for the
dichotomy of comedy and pain and seriousness that this show is. Oh yeah.
It's wonderful. And then I also don't know if this is some kind of pop culture Easter egg, because I'm
sure
it's vibing me a certain way that it is.
Right, like
but I don't know what
the Secretariat thing is on the pink dappled nose, but is there more to it, because this show loves to have its jokes. So I am very optimistic.
Okay, cool.
This is.
I would love to see. I would love to see the show effectively, pun intended, buck convention here and have BoJack put on a new saddle, if you will, in this next season. Although I think with the way in which BoJack kind of had his moment with Diane to kind of be like, "Hey, I'm addressing you in this mature way. I'm not doing the same thing of what I did at the 11th episode of season 1 of being like, am I a good person here? I am more just saying,
I'm answering that question for you.
But I'm also just coming to you with the, hey, I would like to restart things here. That's where I'm the most optimistic about things, is that BoJack is going to start readdressing his relationships from a new perspective. But I don't think that he has the fortitude to actually start getting help. It's more that it's the I am going to start building my circle again. And yet in this episode we saw the futility of that that it took one interaction with a stranger, even though it was a kid that made him think of Sarah Lynn because of all the trauma of all the stuff. It's very realistic as a that was so beautiful as a scene. I still don't think that this is leading in a way that gives him some, again, I don't know where these horse puns are coming from, but leg up on the competition in this game of life,
in this situation. Just because in my mind it is a turning point, that doesn't mean that he's now a racehorse that people should be betting on. But right, like, I'm sure his journey over the next 3 seasons will still involve a lot of hurt and stuff, and it is not the responsibility of any of the people around him to put up with him as he's hopefully struggling and trying to make this work. But I think this is absolutely something that's going to work. The thing that you said about the relationships, I think, is actually a key indicator that it is going to work, because with the previous stuff with Sarah Lynn and everything, one of the things that they did to help nail in the point that this is the worst it's ever been is because everybody left him, right? He was alone. Sarah Lynn was all he had, and then she died, right, in his arms, And so now the fact that he's actually starting to mend the relationships, that's where he can get the whole thing of, oh, hey, even if maybe he doesn't necessarily have the fortitude himself, that's not entirely what it's gonna be about, right? And that's where because I feel like that would be across the next 3 seasons, right? Let's say they still do have the 11th episode, 12th episode whammy, for
they're
seasons,
never
right?
going to stop.
I absolutely think they're still going to do that.
They're always going to do that. Yeah.
But I feel like with the different seasons, you could have each one be a different layer of the muck and the tar that BoJack is basically going down and wrestling with, right? He's gone into the abyss. That was the first 3 seasons, and now the next 3 seasons is him struggling and climbing back out, right?
I think like, that's too optimistic to form an entire kind of thing on that based on the number of seasons we've basically got. I think it's more likely that season 6 is this kind of miracle season that you're hoping for, and it's more that it's going to be the BoJack has effectively died. Mm-hmm. We are seeing the true dredges of the man that he is, and that will be the moment where we have our true test of whatever's left of him at that point. And this is just another chapter. This is not some special moment here. This is all stuff that's been like very, I would say, heavily foreshadowed and well established in foundation. That it's been like
there were no real surprises from this episode.
Well, not only that,
there were,
but I'm talking about
in the details.
I'm talking about even in the details here of the idea that this is probably the closest he's come to a true suicide attempt.
Oh, sure.
And it feels like it's been in a weird, dark way, a long time coming.
I'm surprised it took this long for the show to
be this overt about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's had other attempts, but they weren't really attempts.
Points where the topic was there and being talked about and brought up, but not where it's like, okay, this is actually it. This is where, he's like, all right, I'm done. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think it almost is it's a playing with fire situation where it took something so abrupt and out of the blue and just not even on our radar to jerk him out of this in the moment, because he is alone here. He did in some ways fall back into the past. He did try to lose himself in the thing that is his comfort, usually of, thinking about the kind words of Diane to talk about the time that for 30 minutes every week she had a family. It kind of sounds in a lot of ways like what BoJack has experienced as well, that he has some facsimile of this kind of fake kind of life of having happiness or something like that, and he gets to kind of tap into that in a for the course of an episode, and then by the end of the episode usually BoJack has watched some element of that die or break apart or disassemble or kind of get set up to be subverted in a future episode, and then by the end of it he can't undo the past. He's still building the mound of shit that just keeps choking him. And until he leaves that or literally deals with that, it does not matter what he does in the meantime. He needs to have literal therapy, like professional help.
100 million %.
No, I know, but it's the kind of thing of where I don't see this as being a progression towards that. I see it as a progression towards him feeling like he can weather the shit, if that makes sense.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Where do you think season 6 will end?
Oh,
do you think it's like
I have no idea. Like there's a bunch of things that make sense from a meta standpoint.
Like, do you think it'll have a positive ending?
Oh, I don't know.
Because with the type of character that BoJack is, if this show wants to do the thing where it's the nope, this is going to end in tragedy kind of a thing, and then it's the hey, weren't you paying attention? Why did you give this guy 6 seasons? Or something like that.
No. I think it's gotta have some kind of philosophical and narrative poignancy for the
catharsis for us, the audience, ending. as a summation.
Yeah, exactly. But it's more about the journey. I don't think it really matters about the exact final scene of the series.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm more thinking in a lot of ways that BoJack's point is that he wants to see that his life mattered, and in a lot of ways I do think it makes sense for him to end up dead, but it's also a show where it's not about how this story of his ends. It's more about how he lives. like how
Sure.
he lives with himself, how he lives with other people,
I could
and
totally-
how he benefits and or doesn't benefit people, and that's what the story will constantly cycle back to as we almost in some ways
I like it.
hold the sword of Damocles over his head of like, will this all just fall apart and he just end up pasted on the road or something? In some ways in the end it doesn't matter, right?
But one thing that I do want to throw out there, with as long a time as this was coming, it wasn't some big reflection from the, you are Secretariat thing like we were thinking, he just stopped the car. Well,
did he see the horses?
I think he just stopped the car, and then afterwards he sees horses that like happen to be there.
Okay, so he's drifting.
Yeah.
He's starting to kind of have his moment there. He looks up. No. He looks up. He sees something.
Okay, yeah.
And then he swerves. He gets out, goes to the same direction he had his eyes go up there.
Yeah.
And then now, while it doesn't necessarily correlate with
So he saw the horses, right?
Or he thought of something.
Sure, yeah, because he might have been like looking up. Who knows? But
yeah, he was going so fast that the horses being there doesn't make sense as something that he would see.
Yeah, but the point is, eventually he stopped, and it wasn't because maybe it was part of some happenstance thing, but I feel like the times that BoJack has been making progress before, but he ends up self-sabotaging, is because an environmental thing happens where life gets hard in some way.
Right.
And then as a result of that, he self-sabotages. He takes some sign.
And that's what makes him so
right?
relatable.
That's what makes him so relatable.
Yeah.
But that's
everyone
also
does that in some small way.
Right. Yeah. But that's also, I feel like, where the optimistic stuff can come into play, because it's hey, it's not about whether it's hopeless for you. We all get opportunities to be different over the course of our lives.
Right.
The question is are we going to take advantage of them, right? And BoJack consistently is not, right? Oh, hey, this was not, maybe he would have killed himself if not for the fact that, there were these horses that were running just there, right? Who's to say, right? And so if this is just a good luck thing, who's to say that he'll actually be able to stick with it when it gets going hard the next time, right?
Right.
But if he actually takes hold of the opportunities when they present themselves, that's a step in the right direction in my mind. And I think this show can, from the meta angle, can absolutely keep the conflict going as he is struggling to actually change, set a new course and stick with it, because we have seen just how averse to staying on that path he is.
Right.
And so I think we could totally get 3 seasons out of it, and it could be just as engaging and tense as all of the stuff up until now.
Sure. I do like that there is a small, you'd have to be very optimistic, but a small break in pattern from the previous 2 seasons of ending, specifically with the, but there's the rub. And in this one, instead of having it be, but there's the rub, like a sarcastic one-liner to kind of fade to black in as you guys wink at the audience. Haha. It's no, you don't actually get the full explanation as to what BoJack is thinking here. It's in some ways left a little bit open.
Right.
You could analyze your way into understanding probably what's going on in his head here.
But it's not suicide what's happening at the end, so...
Well, no, obviously. I'm talking about you don't actually get, in this episode, catharsis. You get actually an open-ended question of, wait, what went through his head just there?
Right.
Because there's some things that we could observe and we could infer and we could maybe postulate as to what's going on in his head based on all the previous patterns here, but we don't concretely know actually what this means to him.
And that's what'll make it so good as a not a stinger, but a cliffhanger to then go to the next season, because then it's if anything does come from that, that's where we'll see.
Right. Which is why I'd say it's okay to have a pessimistic opinion about this, even though
because we haven't actually seen it yet.
Oh yeah, because there's nothing concrete about it. You kind of have only the old patterns to fall back on.
Exactly. And that's why I think that is a very natural, practical, like realistic perspective to have.
Right.
It's the same. I think this is the one. And I know I've been saying that like almost the end of every season.
But to bring it up here to tie in my last little thing that ties, I think, it all together is Princess Carolyn, my favorite character. So, in this episode, we have Stilton, who we suddenly
I'm glad you circled back to Princess Carolyn.
Hold on, let me come here. So, Stilton, for whatever reason, they infer is actually like potentially mega wealthy for whatever reason. That's its own subplot that'll be addressed later. But basically, he ends up kind of helping Princess Carolyn reach that point of peace that she's then able to retroactively, address the past stuff that she had been approaching maybe in a slightly dysfunctional way, but still ends up going back to eat her own vomit in a, very bad cat pun kind of way here, in that she's going to go back to the way that things were. She's going to do the same work, but she's going to maybe get validated in the correct way, finally.
Yeah, exactly.
So, in that respect, what ended up happening was someone came along and helped her be free of a lot of things here, but she then utilized that opportunity to, rather than sit and sip tea and kind of have the thing that our weasel buddy kind of reached a state of, which is just like, then let it be. You don't have to go back to that.
Right.
But Princess Carolyn did, because in a lot of ways, everyone in this story has been affected by BoJack. Everyone in this story has that little bit of BoJack DNA in them, where they go back to the old patterns despite getting the opportunity to truly change things, because we as people like the thing that feels familiar more than the thing that feels healthy and feels good for us. So Princess Carolyn abandoned the chance at full freedom because she liked the idea of being a manager. She liked the whole running of things there, even though it made her miserable. Life is pain, Highness. Anything
who says otherwise is selling something.
So you can find purpose in the pain. You can find joy or some kind of exhilaration in the pain. Fuck, you can even get off to the pain. But like, I think that what we're seeing here is every single character in this episode had a thing that pulled them back in to the,
whether it was to potentially something
past.
Positive with Todd giving away the money, or Diane taking a job that with how tense her marriage has been, I could absolutely see this being the thing that the show is setting up as being what ends it.
Right. Yeah. And then Princess Carolyn went to her thing, and then Mr. Peanut Butter was brought back into contact with his ex-wife for...
Yeah, like as if getting into politics aren't bad enough. Doing it because your ex-wife comes along and is like, hey,
I think you can do this.
Yeah.
Even though it's just a complete fucked up coincidence that it's her being here.
That's like... If I were to think of a tar pit beyond Hollywood or Hollywood, for this show to get into, I would say politics is like, that's
about as deep as it gets.
That's about the only way you can get deeper in the shit than this.
Right.
And also will be a source of delightful comedy. But
I just can't help but see that's the pattern.
But
here.
I will say, Todd also had an example of that was framed as a potential positive, even though it's also the joke of
I think
Todd also has to be on someone's couch.
Also a joke, though.
But I think with the PC thing, because I have a few different thoughts on this.
I love the PC one though.
The PC one is great because on the one hand, I'm going to frame this from the standpoint of addiction, even though I have not ever had like a really bad addiction. But there's this concept that like once an addict, always an addict. And that's a thing to accept. And if I get this wrong, apologies. That's a thing to accept, so that way you can not trick yourself into thinking, but I'm better now, and so now I can go back into it and then be totally fine. And from that standpoint, Princess Carolyn is making the mistake.
Yes.
But the thing that she was doing, the work that she was doing, she did like it. The work itself was not inherently bad, right?
Oh, you can never say whether something is, in that respect,
right,
inherently good or bad. It's
right,
all
but
about how we react to things.
Exactly. So in this
things,
situation, I think there is absolutely the opportunity for it to be a good thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because oh, hey, I can have proper respect for myself and make sure that I'm getting appreciated the way that I should be for the, Herculean task that I've been doing of not just being one person's manager, even though mainly it was BoJack, but being a bunch of people's managers, because I imagine agents have more clients than managers generally. And oh, hey, you're just getting the respect of being an agent, right? So right. If you love the wheeling and dealing and all of that stuff, great, right? She gets excited by that. That's something where she's like, yes, I'm good at this. I love it, so awesome. But at the same time, your track record isn't great. And so will you be able to properly keep the boundaries in place or put the boundaries in place so that you can engage with it in a healthy manner that, leaves you happy at the end of the day?
No, people don't put up good boundaries. That's the part where I love that BoJack's is more of an open-ended one because he ends up pulling the brake, at the last second there. But it's the thing of where for everybody else, they all went back to the tar pits basically.
Well, and that's why
they basically are all jumping in, not because they are unaware of the tar pit, but in some ways because the tar pit is familiar.
Oh yeah.
It's the thing that this is what I'm made for. This is what I'm good at. None of them are changing in that respect. They're just changing slightly their perspective surrounding it.
And that's where BoJack, you are relatable because you're not that special, and so chill, man.
And they're all like BoJack.
They're all like BoJack. You are Secretariat, and in this case, you're Secretariat. They're all you, and you're the Secretariat that they are, right?
Right. Yeah.
But then too,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
The whole idea of the tar pit, I would say, is it's not a thing where Hollywood is bad and there's this tar pit thing. Right. No, it's that fundamentally this is an emergent property of human, or in this case anthropomorphic animals, behavior where when you want something, sometimes that's great and there's no consequences from it.
Right.
But sometimes there are. Yep. And, hey, you really want the thing, so you go after it, but that involves dealing with some shit.
Right.
Oh, and hey, if a bunch of people have a common desire that gets to that kind of extreme level, it'll kind of collect the shit in one place that might sort of resemble a tar pit, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you're dealing with here.
Right.
Hope you've got a good boat and everything, right?
Or at the very least, you have enough people running with you that you can churn the tar.
Right, exactly.
And you can get out into the wild open desert, and maybe there is some positive people, metaphor there of you're all BoJack, which is okay, but then also because of that, you're not special.
Right, that can be a curse and that can be a blessing. Right,
so you don't need to be more.
Right, you don't need to be someone that lifts the whole tar pit.
I have fought for this because I believe, and this is Caleb talking here. This is not like some special objective thing or what have you. I just really feel like there's an element of everyone that comes to the realization at their old age about what's mattered is that they basically hit a point where satisfying themselves became impossible. Like there was some element of where people who never basically found happiness basically believed that they could not be satisfied with X, whatever that is. And thus they put themselves into a perspective or a position that they just can't accept things as they are. It's the idea that desire is not inherently, like you're saying, good or bad, but it's the thing that if you abandon the obsession with the desire, you can actually achieve some measure of happiness. And that's what the hedgehog, whatever that
hamster.
Hamster, that's right. Yeah, I fucking love that character so much.
So good.
It's so good. What was his name?
I forget.
Oh, he's so good. We have so many names in this fucking list.
But
can't find it right now. But basically that's it. If BoJack can let go, he could be okay. But everyone in this episode, and I think especially PC, showed that no,
her claws can get stuck in those curtains.
Well, right. But it's the letting go, even when everything is lined up in front of you and the patterns show in a lot of ways that you really could just be with Stilton.
Yeah.
Have a really good, happy life. And that's why I think PC is my favorite character, is because she's, in my opinion, the most tragic of them all. She has actually the best perspective of every one of the characters.
More than Todd, even.
Way more than Todd.
Yeah.
Todd is
unaware of his perspective.
He's unaware.
He's happily bumbling Jar Jar Binks style into all of the stuff that,
and maybe that's for
makes
the
it
sake
okay.
of the comedy.
Sure.
We'll get to know Todd probably a lot more in the coming seasons.
And I liked the added depth and perspective on him of actually going into, hey, not just as a gimmick character, but
I don't know who I am. I don't know what
I don't know what the deal is there.
I don't know what's going on in here. And that's wonderful.
Yep.
In some ways, that was his letting go, was basically then again, it's hard to sort the comedy versus the characterization.
This is where we can vicariously finally get our catharsis of seeing Jesse have a good, healthy relationship that doesn't end terribly.
With no Walter White equivalent. He can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so happy for Todd. And while I do have a bit of a doom and gloom this episode, because I saw something that I maybe am hyperfixating on as a pattern here.
Sure.
The reason why is because...
I don't think it counts as hyperfixation. No one will argue that.
No. But I think it's because my two favorite characters, BoJack and PC here, both had, in some ways, come to the points of so close in certain areas here and fell for very different reasons here. But while one who I have less kind of belief in, BoJack, kind of had his more open-ended. The one that I had more belief in here literally had the if I change my perspective on the thing that was shitty, it suddenly becomes amazing. And I'm like, yes,
that can be all it takes.
That is sometimes all it takes. But you're not gonna change anything about the actual methods you were using?
Of course, we're going to think better.
PC, why?
Right.
No!
You were so close. You had it.
Yeah, we were rooting for you.
Right.
We were all rooting for you.
Because it would take BoJack being in the middle of an attempted suicide, while PC is in the state of nirvana,
going to Cairo and getting worshipped on, you know?
For us to ever look at a situation and think, I think PC might be making a worse decision than BoJack, that's what it takes, because BoJack changing literally anything or even just continuing when he was about to kill himself, that's good.
Great.
That's great.
That's great, yeah.
PC, you might have just found everything that you ever wanted. You got out of the tar pit, and now you're saying, hang on.
If I change my perspective,
you get a scuba mask and you say, all right, I got it. It'll be better now. And it's like, okay, good luck, but
we salute you, fellow struggler.
But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
and that's the thing that I feel like is the uniting tragedy of this story, is that it's people going back to the tar pit and going, but I'm special, and I love how much I'm waiting for Todd to have his moment where he kind of tells the audience, maybe again a little bit,
just look straight at the camera.
I'm not special. I don't know who I am. I'm just a comic relief character, and fully sunders the fourth wall with just going, and so I can let go of all of this, and I'm
totally see that
betting big on Todd in the long haul for that.
Oh yeah, Todd is like the safest bet.
Right.
Out of everybody in the show.
It's really scary to think how much farther we could fall for everybody else.
Okay, yeah.
On the way to...
So,
yeah.
I 100% agree. Here's the reason why I don't necessarily think the PC thing has to be bad. I think it could totally be just, as straightforward as it was presented by Stilton. I'm happy to support you, but at the same time, is, and maybe the difference in perspective on it, bleeding heart artist, sometimes you just have to. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe it would be perfectly unbroken for anyone else, but sometimes for you, it's just, no, you have to do this thing. Right.
And that's why that's the thing. I'm telling you, people don't actually think or want what's healthy for them. They want the tar pits because for whatever reason, it's familiar and it feels right. And people, if they are not willing to accept this, will not change. And that's how you can stay the once and out of always that, because I think that is a very restrictive viewpoint to have.
Same.
But as someone who I would say is
problem.
Right. But as someone who I would say is maybe a little bit more of an addictive person in general than you.
Okay.
I think that the part that's so, or at the very least, I am very much aware of my addictive side in general.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I'm hyper aware of, is that if I don't take a hard look in the moment at the areas that are unhealthy and are ways that I can fall, not back into it like it's an in or out kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I can trend in that direction.
Right, you can flirt with it, and it's just, is that actually helping?
Right. But the ways in which I think people will also get a little bit of like a high of like, I'm specifically flirting with it because I'm there's activity, there's progress in that regard. And it's like, no, that you're it's masturbatory. It's literally like you're not even you're actually farther in delusion than you even could imagine.
Right. Better to be consciously, a slave to something than unconsciously a slave to something. But so here one of the most like succinct, helpful things that my therapist ever told me is most of the time with most of the people I see, it always comes down to letting go.
Yes.
And it's like, oh shit, okay.
Yep.
With the situation
in a couple different ways.
Yeah, in a couple different ways.
Yeah.
And so with regards to the healthiness of like going back into the tar pit and all that stuff, for some people it might totally be unhealthy. In fact, for most people it might even be unhealthy.
I think it is most people, yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But it's not a question of whether something is unhealthy for most people. It's about you finding your own specific path through life. And so with regards to the letting go thing, the idea of if PC doesn't have as much of a peaceful life as she had before as a result of this decision, that could totally be a bad thing. It's easy to see how that would be the case.
Well, I'm not talking about it being a bad objectively thing. I'm just thinking it's not going to be healthy for her.
But the way I could see it potentially being healthy for her is if the realization of, no, this is actually something that I thrive on, and I am okay with putting this aside because I did that. Now I'm choosing to go back into it. The peaceful life, that's something that I desired because I didn't let myself have it. Right? I have it and might continue to have it in some, fashion.
Yeah.
But it's no longer the thing of I'm living in denial of myself because of this thing that I put a condition on myself of I must do this because I enjoy being an agent. And so then I'm not actually allowing myself to have this other experience.
Yeah, I just can't.
As opposed to okay, I've seen both, and I'm going to make a decision.
I hear you, but I think that's mad copium considering, like, if you go back to episode, 6 or something, she's sitting there on her birthday, just staring out.
Totally. Oh, yeah.
Over the city.
Yes, 100%. Make no mistake. This is me talking from a theoretical standpoint in that I believe there is a possible good outcome from this.
Right. That's like saying I can roll a 1 on a D100.
No, right. But
that's great. Yeah, cool.
And
keep
that's
rolling,
and that's
baby.
That's the different like gaming philosophies of like me being the high roller, where it's like if I'm not getting first, it's nothing, right? And you're like,
I know, and I think that's unhealthy.
And you're like, no, I want to hit the highest average possible. I'm like,
everyone knows. It's the same average every time you roll the D100. It doesn't matter in the statistical sense, but it's folly to bet on the specific numbers.
But will you roll a D100 or will you roll 5 D20s?
What?
right? Because the D100, it has more variance. You could get a nat 1. You could get 100. With the
5D20s is mathematically 100% better.
Oh, it is mathematically better because you have your
Yes,
minimum is 5, not 1.
Minimum is 5,
but,
yeah, exactly.
But even if you did have a situation like that, but the variance was skewed so that it's more going to be in the middle, is that something that you would prefer as opposed to being something where it's even of 1 versus 100 versus 50?
See, and that's the thing that I'm talking about. People flirting with that's the addiction of being but I could roll better, and I'm telling you that is unhealthy. Literally
totally. But I think the reason why it's so unhealthy is because people aren't actually okay with getting a 1. If they go and they do the thing, Ethan closes up his whole shop to go and do the Ethan around thing.
Mm-hmm.
He is going on the idea that I think I might get a 100, right? But if it actually didn't happen, if BoJack turned out to be a shitty person or just has too much of a panic freak out and the production ends up falling apart, is Ethan actually going to be okay with the fact that, you know what, I gave it a shot? Oh fuck! I'm gonna have to figure out what I do now.
But that's good. That's reducing the whole thing to well, in this instance here, it's about a venture versus the way that you live your life.
No, totally. But I'm saying using that,
obviously, like, take opportunities with a bit of gusto and and also a grain of salt. But
taking that into then the mindset of how you approach those sorts of things.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's where I feel like the issue is, and that's where the hamster guy had it figured out. And he specifically
and he let go.
right. And he specifically went there, and it's hey, cool. That means that makes it so that you know exactly what you're getting, right? Because you then choose that, and it's something where you don't have a lot of the stuff that other people have, but you realize that's not actually what matters.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, but I still want to see what would happen. Right?
That's the addict talking. I think in a lot of ways that's the element of
I want to roll. Not I want to see what necessarily would happen, but I like rolling.
That's in my opinion, that's the addict talking. Because if you don't care what the number is, you actually don't care if you're rolling. But no. Listen, you could wake up the next day because the environment is way more powerful than anything you decide. Fuck your willpower, basically. Someone else could roll the die. It doesn't matter who rolls the die. You don't need to know that there was variance of whether you're rolling a D1000 or a D20. The idea that in that moment you are accepting whatever the number is. It makes no difference unless you're trying to get that, I would get excited of whether I'm rolling this, and thus I'm disappointed if I roll this. Contentment is that's true happiness right there.
And that can happen. That can happen anywhere, and to make that be subject to your environment is not. It's not a pattern of behavior that's going to end well.
No,
but that also means that you can do it in any environment. Some are better for it than others, and so if it's something that you're struggling with, definitely play it safe, right?
Address the environment. Leave the environment.
Right. It's an important struggle. So don't just try and just scrape by. Address it with overwhelming force, and if that involves doing like what the hamster did and going, I'm gonna go zen.
Let it go.
Then hey, there you go.
Yep.
At the same time, there is the possibility that you can also be zen in a situation where you're still doing the PC thing.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? And so again, I'm cheering for you, PC, because I hope it goes well, but also at the same time, oh God.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's where the lovely barrier between fiction and nonfiction gets shattered, and we go, wait a minute. Is this art there to make you address life and realize how you perceive it actually does have some relevance here?
Yep.
Or it's the entire point? Or in some ways, there's something that you've again. I love the subtle little joke. There's so many things in these episodes you can analyze, but the Krush girl then talking about the different alternative ways that you can use the Krush. You can use it as a crush. You can use it as shortened for crucial. You can then use it as a crutch, but that's ableist, so we don't do that. That's the point. It's Krush here
that whole interaction was delightfully disastrous.
Yeah, it delightfully made me want to eke out my brain matter. Yeah. But
I'm gonna go take a car on the freeway.
But the idea of it's crucial, sorry, to make sure that you understand.
Using it for cringe.
Yeah, exactly. That you actually
so
to
cringe,
actually address that there's going to be a perspective that you have that's exceptionally unhealthy. Whatever it is, you have it.
Okay.
You have
all
it.
Right. Okay.
100%. Guaranteed. We're all human. We're all very flawed in very specific ways.
Gotcha.
If you can understand that, that gives you at least a grounds to inevitably find it. Even if you don't have the capacity like
to
BoJack
affect
it because you feel completely lost in the sauce of everything.
Yep.
There is a possibility of finding some measure of happiness, contentment, joy, or what have you. Because I would say, personally, people are not held back because they haven't hit their super high D100 max result.
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
Because that's not actually going to make you happy. Just in the same way that if BoJack won the Oscar, you would just have one good night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's about the idea that there's something in the way that you're doing things that is actively causing you to keep going
Forget
askew
the Oscar.
here.
You got to be happy being Nick Cage and being in a bunch of shitty movies. Because damn it, I guess acting is just what that guy loves to do. You know?
Sure.
Or whatever.
Sure. I think in a lot of ways, we as people actually really admire the people that have found joy in the simplicity of the one thing that makes them really happy.
Yep.
It's the busker on the side of the street that's just really loves playing music. He does not care about the money. It's not a thing about.
Well,
it's not. No. But I've met the different types of buskers.
Yes, right. The people where it's the I'm doing this to try and just hone my craft, and so I can, one day versus the
I just like playing the mandolin.
Yeah, I retired, man, and I like doing this.
Right. They barely have the means to go on and survive. The next day.
Yeah.
But it's the
Right.
Sure.
Are you the hamster? Or are you the hamster, meditating?
Right, exactly.
Both can work.
Yeah. I'm not here to decry the
specific lifestyles or approaches to things.
I'm just letting you know, seek contentment.
Right. Don't be about what you're about.
Don't seek natural 100s here.
Exactly. Put the agency in your own hands and be honest with yourself about what it is you truly want. Because a lot of people, I would say, aren't. And
that's
BoJack's
PC here.
Well, and in a more obvious, put on display across the course of the show, example, BoJack.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's been his whole struggle. And so, what Herb said of hey, you'd probably be a lot happier if you just owned up to the fact that you're a giant asshole, right? Yeah. Now, people that are like, self-proclaimed assholes and stuff, they're assholes, and so maybe don't interact with those people. But if that works for them, hey, that works for them.
I gotta say, I'm friends with some assholes. Like, they're not bad people because they're assholes.
E pluribus anus.
Yeah. That was good. But the idea of people having a place despite their flaws, because in a lot of ways they're not making their life about I have to, because I feel like I'm talking out of both ends here with some aspects of this, and that you're going to have flaws that are in some ways partially going to have to accept.
Right.
But I'm talking not about the acts themselves. I'm talking about your perspectives regarding them.
Exactly.
Because I feel like you can have an isolated flaw of I'm bad at ultimate frisbee in this way, but it's also the thing that brings me probably the most happiness and joy of my activities that I do. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to lose joy from it because I'm not ever going to be good at that one part of the thing.
Right.
I still find contentment in my less than optimal performance in this thing.
There are a lot of times that I want to put my head through a wall that wouldn't happen if I wasn't trying to write a story.
Right.
But I also really love writing stories.
Right.
So, I had my whole moment where I went through the PC thing of no, fuck this, I'm done. And then but it's so fun.
Right. So what's more important is not whether you do it or not, it's your perspective regarding
exactly.
it.
So that you can be in alignment with yourself and Whether you succeed in riding the wave or not, you can at least accept the wave.
I have a whole other thing on the wave, but I'm not gonna keep this discussion.
Yeah, this has already been going so long, but this episode was delightful.
This episode was perfect.
Yeah.
I think this might be the best of the 12s, you know, thus far by like a long shot.
Oh yes.
The 11s have all, you know, they've all in their own special spaces up
right.
there.
We can't compare the 12s to the 11s. That's just that.
That's
no.
not
Why
fair.
would you do that? Like,
yeah. But the 12s, I think I can compare them to each other, and I think this is my favorite of the 12s for a lot of
hands
reasons.
down for me too.
But I'm so impressed and happy with this show, and I'm really excited to get season 4.
If this show manages to surpass this 12 with another 12 down the line,
it
to
will.
fucking go.
It
and
will.
I can only know it will because
this is the
that's
trend.
the kind of show that this is. Yeah,
it's getting better every season.
Oh hey, just like BoJack.
Yeah. God, I hope so. Yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, we've gone around that horse and beaten it too many times.
Almost to death.
Almost to death. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You got an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about animated shows in general. And also be sure to check out my Baldur's Gate 3 Let's Play on Twitch. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.